Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to How to Use Facebook Ads for Your Church, Part 2. Now, don't worry if you haven't seen Part 1 already. We are actually breaking down two separate strategies. In Part 1, we talked about an invite strategy that you can use for your church. And here in Part 2, we're going to be talking about a step-by-step ministry-based blueprint for how to use prayer ads for your church. So let's dive into How to Use Facebook Ads for Your Church, Part 2, coming up. Hey, what's up, y'all? If we're meeting for the very first time, my name is Chris Abbott, but all my friends just call me Abbo. And in this video, we're going to be walking you through a ministry-based blueprint for how to use Facebook ads for your church. We're going to be specifically talking about something I call the Facebook prayer ads system. I've personally seen over 500 churches use this system in the last 24 months, and it's brought in over 60,000 prayer requests and over 7,000 plan your visit families for those churches. So I'm going to walk you through exactly what to do so you can literally copy and paste this strategy for your church. Now, make sure to stick around all the way to the end because there are two things that even if you execute the rest of the strategy completely perfectly, but you forget to do these two things, it could wreck everything and it won't work. So let's dive in. All right, so step one is that you're gonna go create a Facebook ad. Now, this is not a boosted post, and the way to tell the difference is that if you post something on your page and then you hit that like boost post button and then you pay Facebook to show that to more people, right? That's a boosted post. What we wanna do for this strategy is we actually wanna go create a targeted Facebook ad. So you're gonna go to facebook.com/ads manager and we're gonna set up a Facebook ad, and the objective that you wanna choose is messages. So when you first set up that ad, Facebook's going to say, hey, pick your marketing objective. It's going to have like engagement and reach and traffic and all these different types. We don't want any of those. We want to specifically pick messages. Okay, so you're going to set up an ad for Facebook messages, and then you're just going to target everyone within driving distance of your church. So basically, you're going to drop a pin on your location, and then you're going to target everyone within driving distance. Typically, that's usually about 10 to 15 miles. I know at my church, that's about 15 miles, right? So if you live in a small city or a suburb, it's probably about 10 to 15. If you live in a larger city, right, that might be 1 to 5 miles. And if you live in a really rural area, that might actually be 20, 30, or 45 miles. So based on how far people are typically willing to drive to church in your city, set up that radius and target everyone within 10 to 15 miles of your church or whatever it is. And then you want to leave the targeting wide open, right? Target everyone between the ages of 18 and 65 plus. We want to let Facebook's algorithm do all the heavy lifting for us. We don't want to try to guess who we think this ad is going to resonate with. We just want to leave it wide open and let Facebook automatically optimize the ad for the people that are clicking on it and sending us prayer requests. Now, for the content of the ad, this is actually really simple. All you want to do is you want to have a picture or a video of you as the pastor. And if you're married, it's a great idea to have your spouse in that picture or video with you. And then you literally just want to say, hey, Tulsa, how can I pray for you this week? So you're going to set up that ad and then move on to step two. All right, step two is Facebook Messenger. Right now, here's the whole idea. The reason it's called social media is because social media is supposed to be social. Now, I know on the surface level that might sound like, well, of course it is, Abbo, right? But here's the deal. A lot of us don't use it socially. A lot of us use it as more of an announcement platform, right? Especially churches, we can be guilty of this a lot, where we're constantly going on there. We're inviting people to things, right? We're talking about our event or our service that Sunday or, you know, the upcoming meeting that we're having, right? But we're basically just kind of using it as an announcement platform, but not as a conversation piece. And so that's why Facebook Messenger is so incredible, right? We can actually take people from your Facebook ad into Facebook Messenger, and now we can have a one-on-one conversation with them, right? Social media is supposed to be social, so now we're having a ministry conversation inside of Facebook Messenger. So they're gonna click on your ad that says, how can I pray for you this week? And then they're going to Facebook Messenger, and they're gonna send their prayer request to you. All right, step number 3 is you want to build a chatbot. Now, here's the deal. Hopefully, you're going to be getting several prayer requests a day, and when that starts to happen, it can be really exciting at the beginning, but eventually it can start to be a little bit overwhelming, right? Even if it's only 2, 3, 4, 5 prayer requests a day, it's hard to kind of stop what you're doing to go in there and start responding to these prayer requests inside of Facebook Messenger. So what you want to do is you want to create a chatbot. Now, you can do that by using a service like ManyChat. That's my favorite. You can actually click on the link in the description below, and you can set up a ManyChat account. You can do it really, really quickly. They have a free version. Even the pro version is only $10 a month. You can actually go in there and set up an account and then start building your first chatbot. They've got tutorials in there. I think their tutorials are the best on the market, right? They're super simple. They make it really, really easy. And chatbots are the future of ministry, in my opinion, right? So all they really are is basically predetermined responses to questions or answers that people have inside of Facebook Messenger. So if they go in there and they actually send you their prayer request, right? And John Smith comes out and says, hey, my wife Susie is having surgery next week. We're just a little bit nervous about it. So man, Pastor Chris, if you could pray for her surgery, we would really appreciate it. Now, a chatbot is going to deliver an automated response, right? That could say something like, hey, John, thank you so much for trusting me with your prayer request. I promise to pray for you this week, right? And then you can have predetermined responses to continue to send to them based on what he's saying or based on buttons that he might be clicking or ways that he's answering. All right, again, it'll make a little bit more sense when you just jump into ManyChat and take a look at some of those tutorials. But what I like to do is have some type of predetermined response after they send their prayer request, and then have an invite to plan a visit, right? Where they can submit their name, email, and phone number and basically plan a visit to church on Sunday. And that leads us to point number 4, which is plan your visit, right? You want to make sure that you're giving an opportunity to every single person who's submitting a prayer request to plan their visit, which means they can basically schedule an appointment to visit church on Sunday. Here's what I like to do, right? Some people are going to come through and they're going to plan their visit through the chatbot, and some people aren't. So what you want to do is once a day, you want to come in. I recommend doing this at the same time every day, right? Just get in the habit of maybe at the end of the day before you leave the office, or maybe right after dinner, right before you go to bed. You basically just want to pull up your phone. You want to read the prayer request that came in that day, and then you want to send a personalized audio prayer to every single prayer request that came in. This is really simple. You can only send a 60-second audio file on Facebook anyway, so even if you have 5 prayer requests, the most this is going to take is 5 minutes, right? So you basically just want to go in, you want to introduce yourself, you want to pray for them, and then you want to end it with an invite to church, right? So it might say something like, hey, John, what's going on? This is Pastor Chris. Hey, I got your prayer request. Man, I just want to reach out and pray for you personally. Man, so let's pray. Dear God, I pray for John and his wife Susie and her upcoming surgery next week. Right? You're going to go through your prayer in Jesus' name, amen. And then you're just going to end it with an invite, right? Say, hey, John, I tell you what, we're actually having church this Sunday at 10 o'clock. Can you make it? You want to make it a very clear call to action, and the last thing that you say in the audio should be a question mark, right? Should be, can you make it? Will you be there? Can I save you a seat? Right? Don't keep talking, because what you'll do is you'll kind of close that loop, right? So you just want to end it with a question, and now they're going to feel on the hook to respond to you. They might say yes, they might say no, right? Either way, we just want to make sure that they're answering it and they know that we had an actual clear invite to church, right? And now we're tapping into the power of a personal invite because they're hearing your voice, using their name, praying for their situation, and then inviting them to church. All right, so before I get to the last 3 parts of the blueprint here, man, make sure to hit that subscribe button, right? If you're new to the channel, man, we put out brand new videos every single day, 5 days a week. So hit that subscribe button and make sure to hit that little bell notification. That way you get notified every single time we drop a new video. All right, number 5 is the Sunday morning visit. Now, if someone signed up for Plan Your Visit, what you want to do is you just want to make sure to call them within 15 minutes of them signing up. And here's the reason. It's pretty simple. Basically, if you had someone who signed up to visit your church, right? They just gave you their name, email, and phone number, right? Which people guard like Fort Knox these days, right? Nobody wants to give out their personal information. But if they just gave that to you and they trusted that with you, man, they really want to come to church on Sunday. And so now you can actually call them, right? We recommend calling them within 15 minutes and just introducing yourself as the pastor, or at the very least having someone from your team call them and introducing themselves. Right? Here's the reason. If you don't call them right away, then what happens is they start to wonder and they start to say, well, I sent my information over to Pastor Chris. Like, man, did he get it? Like, is anyone checking the inbox at the church here? Did they go to my personal profile and they can see that like my life isn't cleaned up enough to go to church, right? So now they start thinking that you're judging them and they feel this rejection, so they're actually not going to come to church on Sunday, right? So when you start doing this, all of a sudden you're like, dude, Abba, what the heck? I did everything that you said, right? But nobody's showing up on Sunday. It's because you're not calling the Plan Your Visits within 15 minutes. So I had a friend of mine who started utilizing this exact same strategy, right? He had a church of about 40 people. And the very first week, right? Normally you have like 1 or 2 Plan Your Visits. He had 8 Plan Your Visits the first week, right? So he calls me up. He's like, dude, you said I'd only have 1 or 2 Plan Your Visits at the most. I had 8. I'm like, well, praise God, man. That's awesome that it works so fast. He said, no, I had 8 Plan Your Visits, but none of them showed up on Sunday. I said, okay, did you send the audio prayer? He's like, yep. I said, great. Did you call the Plan Your Visit in 15 minutes? He said, dang it, I totally forgot. So, well, that's what happened, right? They experienced rejection when you never called and they never heard from you. And so they thought you were judging them and they didn't show up on Sunday. So I just said, hey, call all of them up and just say this and get them to replan their visit for the next Sunday. I said, man, and then for everyone who plans to visit this week, just make sure to call them within 15 minutes. So he did that. He calls me back up the next week, says, dude, Abbo, this is crazy. The second week I had 7 plan your visits and 6 of them showed up. And the only difference is I called the plan your visits within 15 minutes. I just started laughing and said, yep, Rob, I know, man, this is what works, right? You have to make sure that you are contacting all of your plan your visits within 15 minutes. And then when they show up on Sunday morning, all you want to do is have a friendly host waiting for them at the front door, right? This is just someone, we call them our people. These are your people who never met a stranger. They're smiling, they're bubbly all the time, right? You just want to use some of your people and just have them host the person when they show up on Sunday. And it's simple. You don't need a lot of training. This can literally be done in a phone call, right? Just let them know, hey, all you want to do is treat them like your best friend, right? Don't treat them like VIP. Treat them like family. So if your best friend was showing up to church on Sunday, how would you treat them? And so that's how you can train your plan your visit host. Just say, hey, if it was your best friend coming to church, what would you do? Well, you'd probably help them get their kids checked into kids' church. You'd give them a tour of the church. You'd get them a cup of coffee. You'd save seats for them in service, introduce them to some key staff and leaders, and you'd probably make sure that they meet you as the pastor, right? Because 80% of people who meet the pastor on the first visit will come back for a second visit. So that's all you need to do. Very, very simple. Don't wait to implement this like a couple of months down the line because you say, hey, we're going to do everything with excellence. Listen, don't hide behind the excuse of excellence. Yes, we need to be excellent in everything that we do, but oftentimes we use the excuse of excellence to camouflage a fear of failure, right? We're afraid of launching this, that it won't be good enough. But Mark Twain says that the man who grabs a cat by the tail knows 80% more about cats than the man who doesn't. So the best way to learn and to figure this out and to actually do it with excellence is by launching it this Sunday. All right, number 6 is meet the pastor, right? So if your plan your visit guests haven't had a chance to meet you yet, it's a great idea to have some type of a meet the pastor on Sunday morning, right? Or maybe after church, right? Or maybe you're going to have this during the week, right? Every church does it a little bit differently, but this is really important. Again, that stat, 80% of people who meet the pastor on the first visit will come back for a second visit. That's just too big to ignore. So we want to make sure that they have a chance to meet you as the pastor. It might be their plan your visit host introducing and just kind of finding you. It might be you making sure to find all of the visitors every single Sunday, or maybe you're having like a pizza with the pastor after service. Maybe you're just saying, hey, if you're brand new, I want to meet you. Come on up to the stage after service. I'd love to have a chance to meet you and shake your hand and hear a little bit about your story. However you want to do it, just make sure that you are inviting people to meet the pastor. All right, and finally, number 7, the Monday morning selfie video. Right, so all you want to do is you want to take all of the Connect cards from everyone who visits on Sunday morning, and then you want to send them a personalized selfie video on Monday morning, right? So think about how this would make you feel, right? So maybe you signed up for Plan Your Visit and you came out to church for the first time. Maybe you're unchurched, or maybe you just haven't been to church in a while, but you come up, there's a friendly person waiting for you at the front door, which is not at all what you're thinking church would be like, right? And then, man, they're introducing you around, so now you feel like you kind of, know some people at the church. They gave you a tour of the property, got you a free cup of coffee. They saved seats in service. They sat with you in service, so you didn't feel like that loser in the cafeteria on the first day of high school who's sitting by themselves, right, at the table. So it was just like having a best friend waiting for you at the front door, right? And then the day after you visit, you get a personalized selfie video from the pastor just saying like, hey, what's up, John? Man, this is Pastor Chris. Hey, I just want to thank you so much for coming to church yesterday. Had a great time kind of getting to know you and hearing a little bit more about your story. So, man, I just want to invite you back. We're doing it again next week, same time, same place, 10 o'clock. Can you make it? Right? What do you think you would say to that? I guarantee that 90% of people are going to say yes. Right? And if they're going to be out of town that next Sunday, they're going to say, oh my gosh, Pastor, I'm going to be out of town. Man, my kid has a Little League game, but we'll definitely be there next Sunday. Right? And so now we're just turning first-time visitors into second-time visitors, right? We're creating that personal connection, and you're going to speed up the natural assimilation process because people are getting connected from the very first time they come to church. All right, so that was a lot of information, right? Those are 2 beefy videos, part 1 and part 2, where we kind of laid out 2 different strategies. But here's the deal. If you don't have time to do this, or you just don't want to learn another thing and you'd rather just hire someone to set this up for you, well, give me a shout, right? Go on over to churchgrowthagency.com or click on the link in the description below. We can hop on a strategy call and kind of talk about what it would be like to build out a custom version of this for your church. So hope you're having a phenomenal day, and we'll see you soon.